political watchdogs, pollsters, and political scientists will break down the nuances in the swing regions, helping you understand the dynamics of these critical areas.
With correspondents and district reporters spread across the county, rest assured all the timely reports of turn of events as they unfold.
On the Poll Center, we'll bring you an excellent television experience with advanced graphic presentation that will give you a clear visual of the vote tallies, trends, and key turning points as they unfold live on screen.
ABC News Ghana will post.
Welcome to your poll center for the 2024 election. You're watching ABC News. This is the maiden. This is actually the ABC Prime at 6. I'm Epiphania Jokotokliwe. Now, coming up in the headlines. Speaker cuts short expectation of majority caucus after declining the request to reconvene the House to address essential matters before December 7 polls. Are the reasons stated by the Speaker for declining the Majority Leader's request valid? We'll pick the thoughts of Parliamentary Watchdog, Parliamentary Network Africa shortly. National Election Security Task Force introduces for the first time a 20,000 Ghana cedi reward system for informants who volunteer with information to tackle electoral breaches. It's 10 days to the major general elections and all political parties gear up with final laps of campaign activities. We'll bring you updates from some of the camps. But tonight on ABC Prime at 6, we'll assess the trend of skirt and blouse and its impact on the December 7 polls. And in sports, Black Stars coach Otuado's fate still hangs in the balance as meeting by Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association to determine his future drags. We'll be bringing you some updates. And in international, rescue efforts end as 29 kills in a tragic collapse of a building in Dar es Salaam after 80 people were rescued. We have details of these and more coming up shortly. To stay with us. The expectations of the majority caucus in Parliament has been cut short after Speaker Alban Bagbin has declined the request of the Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin to summon the House to address pressing government issues. This comes after the Majority Leader about a week ago requested that the Speaker of Parliament reconvene the House, proposing November 28th and 29th as potential dates for the session. However, the Speaker, in a response captured in his memo on Tuesday, November 26, 2024, maintained that parliamentary activities, particularly plenary sittings, will not resume until the elections are over, adding that only then will outstanding essential matters transition to the 9th Parliament. Now, Speaker Bagbin further acknowledged and cited the parliamentary calendar and electoral campaign period as reasons for declining the request. It will be recalled that in October 17, 2024, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, declared 4 parliamentary seats vacant with just 2 months remaining until the election in December. Following this, the leader of the majority, Afenyo Marking, proceeded to the Supreme Court with an injunction application to contest the declaration. The Apex Court subsequently issued a stay in execution of the Speaker's declaration. Now, the House has since been engaged in a push and pull, even after it recessed. Now, let's take a look at the Speaker's reasons for declining the Majority Leader's request to reconvene the House. So let's take a look at the response. Now, as you can see on the response, it says, bearing in mind the provisions of Article 296, Clause A and B of the Constitution 1992 and the closeness of your proposed dates to the general election, I am of the considered opinion that it will not be in the national interest to interrupt the campaigns of members and parties by a recall to plenary sitting of Parliament. So it's actually stating that the dates are very close, and looking at the fact that, look, we just have barely 2 weeks to elections. Everybody's head on when it comes to election campaign, and everybody's pushing so that they could actually do well when it comes to elections. So it's too close for us to come and have a plenary sitting of Parliament to look at some of these key issues. But he continues to say, consequently, it will not be fair to exercise my discretion in favor of your request to summon members of Parliament at this time to a 2-day sitting to deliberate on 22 items you consider urgent or outstanding government business. Now, it is worth noting that having regard to the practice and deliberation of the House, I wonder how the proposed 22 items could be transacted within 2 days. So basically, he's just trying to say that the number of things that they have to discuss or deliberate upon, which in this case amount to 22 different items, for him, he believes that these 22 items cannot be done within the 2 days that the majority leader is actually proposing as the dates that he wants them to actually reconvene. Now, he continues to say, I accordingly suggest the government prioritizes these businesses together with others not captured by your memo for consideration after the conduct of the general elections on the 7th of December 2024. So definitely, like he's maintained, he's pushing for everything to be done after the general elections come December 7th, 2024. He also says the House will resume sitting after the election to complete all essential matters before a seamless transition to the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. So this actually, for those of you who are wondering, okay, so then if after the election, how do we continue? Will the new, government or the new Parliament come and take over or continue this? No, he's trying to say that we'll deal with the issues after the election before we have a seamless transition to the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. And finally, he says the national interest will be better served if members exhibit conduct of honor, empathy, and humility in the performance of their duties. And finally, in the circumstances, I am neither inclined nor disposed to exercise my discretion in favor of your request. The request is accordingly declined. Now, a lot of people have different opinions and different thoughts on it, but definitely we're not going to be looking at this alone. So we're being joined by the Executive Director for Parliamentary Network Africa, Sami Obeng, to help us delve deeper into the response coming from the Speaker's camp. Good evening, Sami. You're welcome. Samuel, you're welcome to ABC Prime at 6.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
So moving straight into it, I want to find out, do you consider the reasons for the Speaker's rejection of the majority's leader's request valid?
Well, it's important to note that just as the majority leader stated in his memo, he was not coming under that constitutional provision that allowed 15% members of parliament to request for an emergency sitting that compels the speaker to summon the House. This time around, it was coming by the provisions of the standing orders, which says that the speaker has the prerogative as speaker to call the House after every adjournment. And so he was literally appealing to Mr. Speaker and saying, Mr. Speaker, because of X, Y, and Z reasons, in my capacity as leader of government business, I am really appealing to you that, give us these 2 days. It behoves on the speaker to exercise discretion in that matter. So the one to exercise the discretion said, well, I've taken a look at what you have said. I look at the 2 days that you are requesting. I'm not too sure that what you are requesting can be possible during the time. And so I'm unable to accede to your request. However, goes forward to say that, well, after elections, he would recall Parliament based on his prerogative to have the House consider the matters. I think that it goes with the process. Some of us may think that it was practically impossible to have the House sit before elections in these last couple of days leading to elections, especially when you have about 80% of existing members of Parliament contesting to reclaim their seats. Having them attend Parliament, having their correct numbers to be able to do business was going to be very difficult. And at this moment, I think that with just 10 days or less to elections, it may be practical to focus on finishing up with the elections, but members of Parliament noting that there is work waiting for them between December 7th and January 7th, that they must come back to finish up.
Definitely. Now, we know that Article 112, Clause 3, and then Standing Order 38 actually allows for 15% of the House to request the Speaker to summon the House. But then the Speaker is being guided by Article 296 and has used his discretionary powers to reject this request, which has been given, critical for them, given the critical period in which we find ourselves. Would you say, the majority, knowing the exigencies, were chasing the wind?
Sorry, would you want to take the question again? I missed the latter part.
Well, I'm saying that we know that we're in a critical period. We just, like you mentioned, we just have like 10 days to the election. And knowing that the Speaker has used his discretionary powers to actually reject the request that was given, and looking at the critical period in which we are, would you say that the majority was actually chasing the wind?
Well, I think that the House entirely, wasted a couple of weeks needlessly. Weeks that could have put to productive use was wasted needlessly, and these sometimes are the repercussions of some of these needless waste. It is my hope that the effect of the needless waste will not rear its ugly head into the few weeks that this Parliament has to expire just after the election, because they still need to be scrutinous of the things that are brought before them. They still need to do the proper due diligence in approving whether it is tax waivers or passing new or approving loan agreements. They still need to be very scrupulous, and they could have done better if they had more time by not wasting the weeks that were ahead of us. But this is where we are, and yes, it was practically impossible to have the House meeting with just a week to elections. I'm really not too sure whether the correct numbers would even have been achieved by that.
Well, I mean, like you've mentioned, you believe that they've wasted time and they could have actually used the time they had to do more and achieve more. So definitely within this period, I think then we can conclude that they were chasing the wind. But, there are indeed a tall list of essential matters and outstanding bills to be considered, before the transitioning into the 9th Parliament. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there certainly are some of them which must be concluded before the House the mandate of this 8th Parliament expires. There certainly may be some which, the House may have to pass on to the next Parliament and the next government to think through on whether they want to, even on their own, present. And Parliament will just have to do the appropriate thing of prioritizing, so that they can be able to give a lot of focus and concentration to those ones that can reasonably be dealt with before this House, tenure is finished, so that they can deal with those, and to borrow your words, without going about chasing winds on tasks that reasonably cannot be completed within the limited time that they've got.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We've actually been engaging with Mr. Samuel Obeng. He happens to be the Executive Director for the Parliamentary Network Africa. And we've actually been looking at the Speaker's response to, the motion or the request or petition by the Majority Leader for the House to reconvene before the general elections, for them to address some key issues, some bills that need to be looked at, a total of 22, which is quite a lot. And the Speaker has said that looking at the critical period in which we find ourselves, it's impossible. He would have to decline, because they can't do it. They can't deliberate on 22 key issues. within 2 days. Moving away from that, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, has announced that the National Election Security Task Force has for the first time introduced what it calls the Informat Reward System to tackle electoral breaches during the elections. Now, speaking at a meeting early on Wednesday, November 27, 2024, with the University Teachers Association of Ghana at the National Police Headquarters, Dr. Dampare explained that the initiative is to compensate voluntary reporter of electoral irregularities with a cash sum ranging between 1,000 Ghana cedi to 20,000 Ghana cedi. Now, informants can file their reports via toll-free hotline 0800 311 311. 0800 311 311. ABC News Ghana's Daniel Kumi Kusedu filed this report.
As part of efforts by the National Security Task Force led by the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, to scale up security measures to enhance election security to avert breaches, the task force met with the University Teachers Association of Ghana, as it did with several other professional groups, to debrief them on the measures implemented ahead of the general election. Key among these measures was the announcement of what is described to be the first of its kind, an informant reward system. According to IGP, encouraging voluntary reporting of electoral breaches is critical in mitigating any form of election security. Dr. Dampare further explained the significance of the initiative and how every piece of information will be carefully assessed to determine its credibility and associate compensation.
We are therefore instituting a reward to an informant system in connection with the elections. And the system is such that anybody with any information who want to share with us, that person is free to share with us with assurance, and that is what I did before even I continue, that the person's identity will never be known. We have introduced a toll-free number for that purpose, and for the purpose of anybody who wants to share information with us. And that toll-free number is 0800 311 311. You can try it now. And this is where we are going. And this is how we want to let you know that when we say we are over-prepared for the elections, it means we have covered every aspect. And we invite you, beyond the information in terms of your analysis and critical thinking that you bring to bear on our work, to be part of the point where we'll source information from you.
The heads of sister security institutions took turns to align their preparedness ahead of elections, as well as their commitment to duty.
My capacity as the head of the Custom Division. And the Custom Division will work in unison in the other security services to provide nothing but professionalism. That's what we need.
We'll never allow miscreants to enter this country and come and create problem for us. We should be vigilant so that no extremists should enter this country whilst we are preparing for the election or during the election or after the election.
At the same time, I would like to appeal to all actors and players to desist from inciting, especially the youth, into violent conduct.
The police service, the prisons and others, and we need to restore life to normalcy. Should the military be called, we are not going to treat people with kid gloves. We are going to be humane, but then we may use some small energy to get things done. Other than that, the rest are sure.
So the essential installations at the far as the EC's premises and their warehouses. We are on with our walkthrough, about 80% done with that, and we are orientating our personnel.
Meanwhile, the National Secretary of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, Dr. Ilyasu Mumuni, speaking to the press after the closed-door session meeting, in his statement commended the IGP on his assurance to promote election security.
As the university teachers of this country, it's been a privilege to have had this engagement with the security. theme of this country. Our takeaway has largely.
Well, we're actually going to look more into this initiative that has actually been brought out by the IGP. But then we have joining us on the line Dr. Adam Bona. He happens to be a security analyst. He's going to actually help us break this further down. Good evening, sir. You're welcome to ABC Prime at 6. Good evening, sir. You're welcome to ABC Prime at 6. Okay, would actually be engaging with Dr. Adam Bona on this pretty shortly, but like you've heard, and if you're out there and you feel you have any key information to give out, the toll-free line is 0800 311 311, 0800 311 311, and then you can definitely give any information you have to the police that you believe that pertains to the importance of the election. So we have Dr. Adam Bona back on the line. Good evening, sir. You're welcome to ABC Prime at 6.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Good evening.
I want to find out how important is such an initiative to tackle electoral breaches?
Repeat what you said. I didn't quite get that.
I want to find out the importance of the initiative to tackle electoral breaches.
Well, I think it's good. For the first time, it looks like there's been three things. The number one person in terms of internal security, Dr. Akuffo Dampare, is doing that we haven't seen in previous elections. And those three things are engagement, the second one is engagement, and the third one is engagements. And this is what we haven't seen in the past. If you cast your mind back, going into the 2020 elections, there were fewer. There was almost zero, what do you call that, engagement. And so you know what happened. The replication since 1992, 2020 elections was the most violent. And so the initiatives in regards to what has been put in place to tackle electoral violence, I would say has been commendable, but everything will play out well when we get to D-Day, days before D-Day. D-Day itself, and after D-Day, few days after D-Day. So as far as I'm concerned, measures put in place are good enough to ensure that breaches that would affect the core of the elections, they nip them in the bud now, before, during, and after the elections.
Yes, sir. Now, we know that they've given, a toll-free number and they've put the number out there, but how can the police curb the issue of prank calls and misinformation without compromising intelligence gathering as it elicits reports from the informants?
Oh, these days, I would say majority of us have registered telephone lines that come directly to us. And so dealing with prank calls should be something that is easy. As I'm talking to you, wherever I am standing now, and whichever cell phone I'm talking to you on, and certain credentials register on a certain cell site. It registers on a certain mobile network, database that ABC, TV network called me and we spoke for this number of minutes. And so if you were to initiate a prank call, and it comes to them and they pick it and they notice it's a prank call, don't be surprised. Either the line will be blocked by the telecom company, and in addition to that, you are likely to be arrested and prosecuted if you are found to have been the one who did that. And so it is easy to catch those who initiate prank calls to some of these toll-free numbers. It's very easy. I think people should desist from that, because then the more people do that, the more our ability to track and trace very, significant or important calls that are coming to let the security agencies know that something is happening becomes a bit more difficult. So I think people should desist for the sake of the upcoming elections. People should desist from doing that.
Definitely. Finally, not finally, there's more for you to look at, but I want to find out, do you find this initiative to be sustainable?
Yes, I would say very sustainable, very laudable, and should be very effective. I say this because, like I said, you see, in the act of war, even though we are not going to war, or in the act of whatever you are going to do, but let me use the act of war. In the act of war, the theory and the practice is that you do 90% planning and then 10% fighting. If you do the reverse, where you do 90% fighting and 10% planning, your opponent is going to not fire a weapon and you will be killed. And so you plan 90%, 10% is just execution. So you can see that we are only going, it's just a day set aside on our electoral calendar to do both parliamentary and presidential. But you can see when we started the engagement, it's all part of the preparatory process going into the election. So as far as I'm concerned, I think for the first time, I'm beginning to have some level of confidence that the elections will go without trouble. And you know that some of the measures put in place include the military are not going to be in front line, election duties. Yeah. Secondly, coalition centers where a lot of, there used to be a lot of bloody activities or a lot of confrontation, violence taking place, are now going to be in walled areas. And so if you went into, let's say, a premises that has a fence wall, and you are not permitted to come there, what it literally means is that it is only recognized people who would be there. So you would have some hoodlums who will be brought there by a certain parliamentary candidate or someone to come and foment trouble so that they can help themselves in swapping ballot boxes and ballot papers. So all these measures, coupled with the engagement that probably is ongoing and the education that is we are seeing, I think would help us. And the level of preparation, because I have gone around with my team to all the 16 regions, engaging behind the same security officers to know, to test their preparedness with regards to the upcoming election, to actually see some of the things myself on the ground, together with the team. And we ended our tour around the country, the 16 regions, about a week ago, and we are still putting our reports together. We visited almost every flashpoint. And so mine is that these are some of the things, for me, gives me a certain level of confidence that the upcoming elections, we might not see, if there will be violence, just one or two, but it won't be as widespread as we saw in 2020 elections.
Okay, Doctor, I mean, that is very good place confidence since you have actually put in the work. But still on security issues, I actually like to take your mind on something else that happened, but it's still security related. So please stay on the line with us. Do not leave us, because we're definitely talking to you on this next issue. Well, the Ghana Police Service has confirmed that armed officers accompanied a court bailiff to execute a court order at Metro TV's premises on Wednesday morning. However, the incident has sparked controversy, with Metro TV's morning show host Dr. Randy Abbey raising serious concerns about the officers' conduct and the disruption that was caused. Now, Dr. Abbey, who was on his way to host Good Morning Ghana, said that the officers attempted to seize his vehicle upon arrival. And we have videos from the incident that show Dr. Abbey later spoke to the media explaining what happened. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
The pickup just came in and blocked me. And then they got out and said that, look, they are here to enforce a court order. So they are seizing my car. And they are seizing my car for what? Court order against you. They said, oh, they have a court order against Metro TV. That's it. But this car is not for Metro TV. So what do you mean? They said, oh, well, they have a court order. And I was on my way to start Good Morning Ghana to come and host my show. So apparently they are back there waiting for me. If you have a legitimate court order and what you are doing is legitimate business, come and execute the order. Why are you looking for me? Why do you come and block my car? Why do you want to take my vehicle? Am I Metro TV? Am I a shareholder? Am I a director? And then you come here today and you come and all you want to do is to come and break into Good Morning Ghana when we are having a live program. Which court gave you that thing? Which court asked you to do that? Which court authorized you?
Well, the police service in a statement have clarified that the officers were acting on a court request to accompany a bailiff and a representative from Vodacom Business Ghana Limited to execute a judgment against the TV station. However, the service assured the public and Metro TV staff that a thorough investigation has been launched to address the concerns that have been raised. Now, the incident, which disrupted the live broadcast of Good Morning Ghana, has raised questions about the manner in which court orders are enforced and the role of armed police in such operations. Now, we still have on the line with us security analyst Dr. Adam Buna, and he will be sharing his thoughts on the implications of this incident and the enforcement of court orders involving armed police officers. Well, it's good to still have you on the line with us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so we're witnessing another Rambo style of police inquiry or arrest. If today's incident at Metro TV is anything to go by, certainly that is not the standard procedure by the police, is it?
Well, yes, it's quite unfortunate that a court bailiff probably doesn't even understand what he was doing, if you ask me. Because then, if you have a court order against Metro TV. Metro TV is an organization which in law is recognized, it can sue and be sued. And so you would, if you have to attach any property per the law, you would have to serve it on Metro TV or whoever, the directors, the shareholders. Those are the people who usually will suffer these consequences, not mere, actors within Metro TV, people who work or employees of Metro TV. You can't attach their property. And from what Dr. Randy Abdi said, they couldn't have done that. And I don't know whether the police who did that are not schooled in some of these things, because then you cannot do that. You can't. In any case, Metro TV is not running away. Metro TV is an artificial a human being in law when it comes to corporations. And so Metro TV will not run. The building is there. You have the directors. There are several processes. But you don't break into a live program in this Rambo style and think that in the 21st century, at a time when we are all talking about security and safety for the upcoming election, and all you do is to rub, more salt into the wound or pepper into the wound. For me, as far as I think it's a shame. Whoever the bailiff and who these police officers were should have known and asked proper questions before executing that service against Metro TV. Metro TV is not Randy Abbey, and Randy Abbey is not Metro TV. He's not a director, like he said. He's not he's not a shareholder.
Definitely. And
probably not even a subscriber to the company. And so he only works for the company, just like you. You work for ABC, and you are paid. But the moment you become a director by way of shareholding, or you become one of the subscribers, then one will say that you are liable to suffer the consequences as a natural human being who probably is part of those who are supposed to be held responsible. So if your ABC company has a challenge and they bring the police to come and bully you, it just speaks, a lot of volumes that are we in some banana republic, which I think we are not. It's just a lot of things are happening, which for me speaks volumes about the way and manner things are done these days. I think it's wrong. And it's good the police have come out to straighten what took place. But I think the officers who were sent probably would have to be sent back to undertake some more training with regards to ensuring that when there is, when you have to follow a bailiff, ask questions. It's not the first time I have seen this. I mean, there was a time a bailiff was sent, not a bailiff, some lawyers just went into a premises and called someone to come. The person, they went and they wanted to say they were going to take over the property. And I said, for what? Eventually, they noticed who I am and they ran away. Because whoever called me, I went there wanting to find out. But they ran away, before we could take them photos, including the police.
Finally,
so these things are happening.
That's true. Finally, before I let you go, I want to find out, we know the quest by the police to actually strengthen the symbiotic relation between the press, particularly during this election year, and coupling with the pledge by the police to actually protect the press. Now, this whole action definitely is going to, it looks like it's undermining that cause. So what measures do you believe that the Ghana Police Service can take to actually rebuild the trust after an incident like this?
Well, I do believe that. I think they've done that. I'm told the IGP, out of his own way, on behalf of the Ghana Police Service, I'm told they called Metro TV and Randiabe to try and straighten things and ensure that if there is any miscommunication, misinformation, they are able to straighten it. So I don't want to believe it will mar the existing relationship. I just think that somebody just wanted to show power. That's all. And he got police. He ended up getting police assigned to him to go and show power. I think it's something that the IGP, which he has done several times, will deal with. He and his team are more than capable of straightening. I don't want to believe this will mar the relationship between the police and the media going into the upcoming elections.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your time here with us. We'll actually be engaging with Dr. Adam Bona. He happens to be a security analyst, and he's delved and touched a lot into different, topics that we've looked at. Now, moving away and going straight to look at election-related issues. Don't forget, this is the Pulse Center. Independent presidential candidate Nana Kwame Bediako has urged the youth to prioritize Ghana's interest over political party loyalty. Now, he made this call while addressing residents of Weija in Accra during his tour of the capital.
As part of his 276th constituency tour, Nana Kwame Bediako visited Weija, where residents gathered to hear his message for economic freedom. He emphasized that the country's well-being should take precedence over partisan agenda in this year's elections.
Obiaba, ne party. Eba be 4 years na mena so pe. No abamo ho. No mama nchene. No mama mo. No mama sika. Mo prise obi esro. No mo nim se mbe mi ama no sa obi anka. No mo kosu no mo ye. No mo ba no mo be fo wa usika. No mo de aye ne o mo pe. O mo de ye ne o mo pe bia. Na se wo de o mo si power. 4 years no mama come to sa.
He also highlighted the ongoing leadership revolution across West Africa, driven by young people, and encouraged Ghanaians to embrace a similar transformation.
Driven
by young people and encouraged Ghanaians to embrace a similar transformation. And the country.
Well, President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo today, November 27, 2024, embarked on a 2-day farewell tour of the Eastern region. Now, this tour marks a significant milestone in Akufo-Addo's presidency as he prepares to conclude his 80th term and campaign for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate. Now, here's the president addressing chiefs in the region.
So I'm a player, I'm a running mate for the 2008 election. Oppressor, the 2008 vote election by the narrowest margin in Ghanaian history, 23,000 votes in Zanka. 2012, and also despite the court in Zanka. Now 2016, and now 2020 so on my review. So you are all to be a deep amount of Baumia, one dance here, and then I bet you say Napon, I say, I am me, Nana, if you tell me, say, you are, listen there, on nearly body be out there, on your full phobia, I will be what that. Honest man. Competent man, caring man, Yagano, Danakuma Sopa, that is Mahamadou Bawumia.
Well, still on election-related issues. Now, as election day approaches, one phenomenon stands out for analysts and political watchers alike: the enduring and impactful trend of skirt and blouse voting in Ghanaian politics. Now, skirt and blouse occur when a voter selects the presidential candidate from one party and the parliamentary candidate from another party on the same ballot. This practice has shaped Ghana's electoral landscape for years. And though the concept is a long-standing one, skirt and blouse voting gained significant attention during the 2012 elections. And in that year, 28 constituencies split their votes between presidential and parliamentary candidates of different parties, underscoring its growing influence. Political parties have since made concerted efforts to curb this voting pattern, often campaigning vigorously against it. Yet, the 2020 general election saw skirt and blouse voting leave an indelible mark, where 33 constituencies voted skirt and blouse, resulting in Ghana's first ever hung parliament, with both the MPP and NDC holding 137 seats each. Now, this balance of power has posed significant challenges for the ruling NPP, manifesting sharply during the recent parliamentary vacancy controversy. As the 2024 elections draw near, the possibility of another skirt and blouse scenario looms large, and we have a recent Afrobarometer survey which is indicating that 15% of Ghanaians are considering this voting approach once again. And in response, both NPP and NDC presidential candidates have made passionate appeals to their supporters to abandon skirt and blouse voting come December 7th.
Day approaches, one phenomenon stands out for analysts and political watchers alike: the enduring and impacting trend of skirt and blouse voting in Ghanaian politics. Skirt and blouse occurs when a voter selects the presidential candidate from one party and the parliamentary candidate from another party on the same ballot. This practice has shaped Ghana's electoral landscape for years. Though the concept is a long-standing one, skirt and blouse voting gained significant attention during the 2012 elections. In the year, 28 constituencies split their votes between presidential and parliamentary candidates of different parties, underscoring its growing influence. Political parties have since made concerted efforts to curb this voting pattern, often campaigning vigorously against it. Yet, the 2020 general election saw skirt and blouse voting leave an indelible mark, where 33 constituencies voted skirt and blouse, resulting in Ghana's first ever hung parliament, with both the NPP and NDC holding 137 seats each. This balance of power has posed significant challenges for the ruling NPP, manifesting sharply during the recent parliamentary vacancy controversy. As the 2024 elections draw near, the possibility of another skirt and blouse scenario looms large. A recent Afrobarometer survey indicates that 15% of Ghanaians are considering this voting approach once again. In response, both NPP and NDC presidential candidates have made passionate appeals to their supporters to abandon skirt and blouse voting come December 7.
Well, still on election-related issues. Now, one of the key things as we're all preparing towards, December 7, 2024, as we're going to cast our votes. Now, a key majority and a key set of people that a lot of people tend to think of and look about is the first-time voters. Well, ABC News took to the streets to take a listen to what they had to say, as this December 7th will be the first time some of them hit the ballot papers to cast their votes.
I'm a first-time voter, and I'll be voting this coming election.
This is my first time voting. I like to vote for NDC because when MPP came in 8 years and we can't see any improvement in the country.
The best influence me about Obama. Emu, omu mienu anamu back when he said, say show my remote.
I'll be voting this year. I want to vote for NDC, and the reason I'm voting for NDC is I want to vote for change. Because one of my reasons is because of the dollar rates. Yes, because I'm an importer and the dollar rates has affected my importation. Yeah.
We know what is going on. And he say, se me to aba me to aba me ho betomia me to aba ma nipa awaye ready say obesisa oman no empuntu amana kwanenim.
Even though they've got the free SHS, I can say I'm a proud member who enjoy it.
I've seen that Ghanaian, we are suffering from a lot. I went to free SHS, but we bought a lot of things, even though it was free SHS.
After I finished, I can't find any job in the country, and that's why I like to vote for NDC to bring job opportunities in the country.
Before they come, they will have a whole lot to say. That if they come, this is what they will be doing. If they come, this is what they will be doing. But most of the times when they come, they don't do it. So I'm still pinning on the two candidates.
Well, you heard what the people had to say. So for first-time voters out there, well, come December 7th, there's a new experience for you as you go out there to go and cast your ballot. We'll take a quick commercial break. Do stay with us. We're back for business. Officially introduced the Ghana Gold Coin as a new financial instrument to diversify investment options for the public tourism packages. Now, as of November 26th, 2024, the coins are available in 3 denominations. We have the 1 CD, we have the 50, and the 0.25. Now, their prices are set at 45,020.48 Ghana cedi. We also have 22,409.74 Ghana cedi and 11,188.12 Ghana cedi, respectively. Now, the pricing is based on the previous day's London Bullion Market Association PM gold price, which stood at $2,635.40, and the Bloomberg USD to Ghana Ghana Cedi exchange rate of 15.75 Ghana Cedi. Now, the Bank of Ghana aims to offer the public an innovative investment avenue while bolstering the country's financial instruments portfolio. As part of the domestic gold program, this initiative seeks to absorb excess liquidity in the market and strengthen the local currency against major trading currencies. This strategic move aligns with the Bank of Ghana's efforts to stabilize the economy and promote investment in Ghana's gold reserve. Let's head straight into sports. Well, the Ghana Football Association's Executive Council has handed Black Stars head coach Otto a lifeline. After an extensive meeting at the GFA headquarters, the council has decided to give Coach Addo another chance to prove his mettle. His destiny, however, hangs in the balance. His performance in the remaining 2026 World Cup qualifiers scheduled for next year will determine his future with the team. Now, the Ghana Football Association's Executive Council has opted to retain Black Stars head coach Otto Addo despite his inability to qualify the national team for the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. And this decision follows a closed-door meeting where Addo presented his technical report, aiming to persuade the Executive Council to let him continue in his role. And after several hours of deliberation, the council chose to give Addo another chance. However, his fate remains tied to his performance in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers next year. Meanwhile, Ghanaians are divided in their opinions on the council's decision. Okay, so we're taking a look at some key things that, some key statistics in relation to this issue. Now, looking at Otto Addo's second term, you realize that for the number of matches, we have 10 matches, and this began from 22nd March 2024 till date. And out of the 10 matches, for a number of wins, we have 2. The number of draws, 4. Number of losses, 4. And then also for the number of goals scored, we have 12, and there's an average of 1.2 per each game. We also have the number of goals that the team has actually conceded, which is 15, and that's 1.5 per game. And 10 points have been earned from a possible 30. Some of the notable failures that were actually raised under today's key meeting was that he failed to qualify Ghana for AFCON after 20 years. He's also the first manager to not win a single AFCON qualifying match, and then also the lowest Ghana finished in an AFCON group with just 3 points. Well, to look more at this, we actually have been joined via Zoom, Victor Kwaku, and he's going to actually give us all the details we need on today's crucial meeting that took place to determine Otto Addo's fate. Hello, Victor. You're welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Epifania.
Okay, so Victor, very briefly, summarize what happened today.
Yeah, as expected, the Executive Council of the GFA was expected to meet the head coach of the Black Stars, Otto Addo, in relation to the Black Stars AFCON performance, which has been a bit abysmal. You've already mentioned all the statistics regarding that in 6 AFCON qualifying matches, he failed to win a single one. He also failed to qualify for the first time in 20 years, and equally, languishing at the bottom of Group F at the end of the day with just 3 points. Well, the technical report was just simple. The GFA was just demanding from the head coach to give them clear reasons why they failed to qualify the Black Stars for the first time in 20 years. That was one of the key interests of the ESCO regarding the meeting. The second one was to also give Otto Addo the chance to persuade the Executive Council on why he should be maintained as the head coach of the Black Stars after turning out this woeful result. And I think that, well, I've been following keenly. So, yes, there was a meeting between the ESCO and then the head coach of the Black Stars. It was a very, very crash meeting. At about 4 p.m., the head coach was relieved, or he was allowed to exit the meeting. And I want to believe that, yes, he has finishing the ESCO with all the details you need to give them. And so they asked that he excuse them to deliberate further and make other decisions, because certainly the head coach cannot be under the meeting before the ESCO is going to make such a crucial decision. And, you know, it is in the interest of the coach not to see those who say, those who vote for in his favor, or those who vote that he should be exited. And I think that was what happened clearly today. As we speak, the GFA is still locked up in a meeting. There's no official statement yet from the football governing body, but we hope that by tomorrow morning there should be more details regarding today's confrontation with the head coach.
Thank you so much for all of that. So actually, this is for all football enthusiasts out there. Thank you for your time. That happens to be Victor Kwaku. He happens to be a sports journalist and commentator. Let's head away from sports and into international waters. Tanzania's government spokesperson announced Tuesday, which is November 26th, the end of rescue operations at a building that collapsed in Dar es Salaam on November 16th. Now the death toll stands at 29 and investigations are ongoing. Spokesperson Tobias Mokathod he actually told reporters the owner of the building in the Karioko area of Tanzania's economic hub was arrested. Now, more than 80 people were rescued from the 4-story building that housed dozens of shops. And similar incidents have occurred during the rainy season in the East African country and are often blamed on poor construction. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has offered an audit of all buildings in the area, where most businesses reopened since the surge ended. Away from that, let's head straight into entertainment. Dancehall musician Shatta Wale has revealed how his former manager Bulldog allegedly caused him to lose a $4 million record deal after he reportedly leaked the track list for his much-awaited album Gift of God. Now, speaking in an interview, Shatta Wale claimed that he had partnered with the record label for that album, which featured international artists, and that the record label had prepared a comprehensive distribution strategy to promote the album until his former manager leaked the track list of the album. However, Shatta Wale said that the deal was cancelled as a result of Bulldog's unauthorized release of the track list. He also claimed that Bulldog's actions were motivated by personal issues following the termination of their working relationship. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we go, let's take a quick look at the headlines. Speaker cut short expectation of Majority Caucus after declining the request to reconvene the House to address essential matters before December 7 polls. National Election Security Task Force introduces for the first time a 20,000 Ghana cedi reward system for informants who volunteer with information to tackle electoral breaches. Well, 10 days to the major general elections and all political parties geared up with the final laps of campaign activities. We did take a look at some of the updates from some of the various camps and assess the trend of skirt and blouse right here on the news. And in sports, we actually looked at Black Stars coach Otuado's fate that still hangs in the balance as the meeting by the Executive Council of the GFA to determine his future still dragged on. And on the international front, we look at rescue efforts end as 29 were killed in the tragic collapse of a building